Konohakure Southgate, Kotetsu and Uzumo could see very clearly the serious expression in the approaching joining and the scared expression. His three gaining war. Kotetsu, why did you have to wish for something exciting to happen today? Look at this. He looks really pissed. Yeah, Asuma is never that serious, and Okami, he's not smoking anything. Oh no. The last time he wasn't smoking was when Kunohamaru-sama's parents died. Remember the bar fights he got into? How could I not? Izumo, he put 4 Ambu, 3 Jonin, and 7 Jonin in the Konoha General Hospital when they made a comment at the table about the two looked at each other and suddenly figured out why the man was so serious. Naruto. They swallowed hard as Asuma got closer. Neither felt any hatred from the young blonde. They actually liked him. Sometimes he would come by the guardhouse and keep them from getting bored by telling them stories of pranks he had done, or ask them questions about what he should do for his training. The two were glad for the distraction and had no problem helping him with his shuriken. The only thing they could, since the katan, suitan, or futan jutsu. Heck, they had even given him a present in his last 4 birthdays, since they met him 6 months after his ninth birthday. Since the 6 months after his ninth birthday, his presents had been a Fuma shuriken, a giant shuriken, a scroll on basic right-arm manipulation, and a giant kunai like Kotetsu wore on his back and used. Asuma, welcome back. How was your mission with the bandit camp? Izumu spluttered out with a strained smile. Asuma merely showed the two his shinobi license and the paperwork to get back into Konoha. I don't have time to talk. I must speak to Hokage Tao-sama immediately. The pair looked at his paperwork and nodded before giving it back. Of course, go right ahead. The journey made his way into the village at a brisk pace, and the guards stopped the 3 genin, who were panting hard and somehow red from physical exertion and pale from fear at the same time. Wait, you 3. Just what happened on the mission? Shikamaru spoke. Asuma sensei, he received a message paging right after we finished up the bandit camp and took everything within in scrolls, and he rushed straight here after he read it. Joji spoke next. He's been releasing killer intent the whole way. I thought I would die. The blonde Ino then spoke in between rasping breaths. We read the letter, and apparently Naruto is gone. Left Konoha on his last mission, and he's been labeled a missing man. The Chuni's guards blanched and looked at each other, already fearing the worst. But if Naruto is killed, and the clans who gave him protection found out, Shikamaru finished, Konoha would lose several of its most powerful families. We're going to civil war. The Hyuga and Kurama would leave for sure, probably the Finkaku as well, since their clan head was one of Naruto's mother's students, along with Uzuki Yagyo and Uchiha Itachi, not to mention Asuma Sensei and Konohamaru, who see Naruto as a little brother and an older brother, respectively, ever since he first stayed in the Sarutobi compound. Naruto probably doesn't even realize all the politics he's caused by leaving, knowing him. Mendokaze. Troublesome is right, Izuku said. Gato Corp HQ Nami branch. The trio of 1 shinobi, 1 kunoichi, and 1 demoness arrived in a large swirl of purple foxfire that had surrounded all 3 of them. A foxfire shuriken courtesy of Kurama. The 2 ninjas swayed a little and regained their balance from the demonic variant of the teleportation ninjutsu before looking around the room. Haku was the one who recognized it. Isn't this Gato's office? She asked the now three-tailed Juko, who nodded. Yep. Back before you died, Haku, I began spying on him and overheard some interesting things. She grinned and looked over at the steel safe behind his desk that took up a whole wall with how large it was, Gato. Has some stuff that is rightfully both of yours, but we need to get into the safe first. If I tried, I would probably burn everything inside. So the other two got the hint, and Haku flew through hand seals quickly. High style, freezing mist jutsu, Haku shouted before exhaling a cloud of pale blue mist that completely froze the safe solid in an instant. Immediately afterwards, Naruto pulled Kubikiri Bocho off his back and lunged, stabbing it straight through the frozen door and shattered it into millions of shards from the chakra-enhanced strength of the strike. The two 15-year-olds gasped at the scene before them, while Kuma grinned. This is the safe of Gato, home of billions of real, expensive artifacts that belong in museums, rare scrolls from ancient times, and two heirlooms of the highest value, the Fuyu no Daikiyama of the Yuki clan and an ancient scroll of the Uzumaki I have come to learn from my spine. It's the blueprint of the village of Uzikagure itself that even contains details of all the seals and keys the village was protected by. Separately, Gato paid over 15 billion for the two on the black market. A hefty sum, but the man loves expensive shinobi artifacts of extinct or near extinct in this case clans now. Why don't we use some clones to store everything in here and there? Then we'll leave Nami for good. The redhead smirked and giggled as the pair grinned, and each made 50 clones to begin the sealing. 2 hours later, Sensei, Kaku asked as the trio were walking on the road from Nami and through Hinokuni. They had left the village about 2 hours ago and across the bridge, which all three had noted bore the name of Great Naruto Bridge in honor that the spiky-haired teen smiled at Haku-chan. The red-haired woman asked. Kuruma's appearance had changed as she wore a henge. Her hair now was worn in a single bun in the dark of her head. Her fox ears had been replaced by human ears, and her tails were nowhere to be seen. Instead of kimono, she wore, now dressed in an all-red robe with black foxes all over it. Those guys are still following us, Now replied for his fellow ice user as he had done in the past week, or she had done for him. It would have been annoying except that Kuruma found it so adorable. Then she paused. Were they? Naruto and Haku each had the ability to use a part of her negative emotion sense. Haku could feel emotions while Naruto could feel the chakra, as they each had the tails to control those. Eventually she would regrow her own tails and get her negative emotion sense back, but until then, well then looks like we'll test how good your training has made you. Numbers, Kurama asked going into Sensei mode. 40 bandits with 2 gaining level shinobi and 1 joining level. Probably the remainder of the force Gato was going to use against us at the bridge. Naruto automatically answered, noticing that Haku tensed at the mention of the bridge, and the single male of the group grabbed her hand, smiling to her comfortingly. They are thinking of robbing us since we probably look like easy picking, Haku said, in barely restrained guilt from the sudden memories of Zabuza's death. This is good, Kurama thought aloud before clapping and wearing a bright smile. Shadow clones for the bandits. Both of you take the shinobi, and if it looks like you lose, then I'll jump in, okay? The pair nodded as if they were aware of the training this was. The bandits jumped out of the trees to either side of the road, 3 figures among them at the forefront. Those were the Jonin and Genin, ex-shinobi of Kiri from the looks. The Jonin was a woman about 6 feet tall with bright red hair set in twin ponytails against her back and big blue eyes. Her tan skin and the sensuous curves of her hourglass figure and nearly DD cup breasts were barely restrained by her tightly fit kimono. of deep blue. On either hand, she wore a pair of blue gloves. The two Genin were identical. Male twins with silver pineapple ponytails of their hair and crimson eyes. Both wore fitted clothes that resembled Ambu uniforms and also wore a tanto on their hips. Their visible skin seemed to be covered in glowing tattoos. Hello, kitties, the redhead said with a licking of her lips, oddly reminiscent of Orochimaru. She seemed to have been abandoned by that woman. You seem to have been abandoned by that woman. Cowards do live longer. She giggled at her joke. Now, what you say to hand over those weapons of yours plus all your money, and then we'll let you live as slaves to me, that is. The pair of Uzumaki Yuki glanced at each other and shrugged. Naruto pulled the sword off his bag. It was wrapped completely in white bandages, making it look like a regular zapato since the holes were invisible. The hilt was also wrapped in bandages. Haku pulled out her own weapon. The Fuyi no Daikema was a graceful and beautiful weapon. Its handle was of ice blue chakra steel coated in ancient seals and measured exactly 5 feet in length. The curved blade at its top was the same color and had its own seals etched in with the kanji for snow on one side and ice on the other side. The handle had the kanji for wind, storm, and winter on it. At different locations, it also had a light vapor rising off of its forms from the extreme cold that it had. Go get them, she ordered the twins, who silently walked forward. One of them got to the side first and grabbed it, and then the other took hold of the sword. They turned to walk back to the master, but never got for Kai. Both Naruto and Haku shouted at once as Naruto's left and Haku's right hand were clasped together in a ram seal. The twin holding the Fuyi no Kaijima watched in horror as his fingers flash froze and the ice began to spread up his body. In a single second it had gone up his right arm, one more, and half his chest was frozen. The other one was astonished as the bandages on Naruto's blade unwrapped themselves from the saboteur before instantly wrapping him up. Then each one performed the technique that Kurama had taught them just 2 days ago. Chakra strings to pull their respective weapons to them. Their head glared at them. The Kubikiri Bocho and Fuyu no Dakama, two of Kiryu's most famous weapons, both crafted by the Uzumaki clan, with seals on them with unknown purposes only an Uzumaki could possibly figure out. She growled out before grinning, and both of which are extremely valuable. I can make a fortune on those. She smiled crazily. Kill them and bring me their weapons. Whoever gets the weapons will get 500,000 ryo for each one. The bandits' eyes widened and immediately they rushed as one. Haku-chan sensei said to you shadow clones, right? The Yuki nodded. Will we? I really have some stress to work off, Naruto-kun. Naruto nodded, having access to her thoughts and knowing she needs a warm-up to fight the Jonin. Sure, the two then stood back to back as the 40 bandits surrounded them and brandished all sorts of blades, knives, swords, staves, and clubs. One rushed forward in front of the rest, but fell easily to Naruto's cleaver, which he wielded in one hand by enhancing his strength with chakra in a way he had learned from Yu-Gi-Oh, who used the same trick to make her slashes stronger. His head rolled to the ground as Haku and Naruto began using their free hands, the ones not occupied by the scythe or sword, to perform hand seals with each other. Ice style freezing mist jutsu, Naruto called out, and Haku opened her mouth to produce the sub-zero mist that froze 5 bandits where they stood. So cold was it. The rest of the forces seemed to realize something. Let's all rush at once, one yelled, and the remaining 34 rushed forward, pushing to overdo the duel. The Yuki jumped up high and released a dozen senbon into 6 men's neck, landing gracefully on the blade Naruto held above him and filling her scythe with. I think his chakra before slashing it diagonally. Fugino Daikama, I stormed Needle barrage from the curved blade. Hundreds of icicle materialized and pierced more bandits, bringing the number down to about 20 as she jumped off of the cleaver and watched Naruto grab it by the bandage hanging off of the hilt. He swung it in a large arc, watching as it sliced through many other bandits before she landed on the swinging blade's flat edge, throwing her scythe to the former blonde and performing rapid hand seals. Foxfire streamed. She shot it and completed the seals for another of the techniques the Biju had taught the two. She accessed her pool of yokai and turned it into foxfire, but released the stream of the purple fire from her mouth as she traveled on the sword, incinerating the last of the bandits. Once they were all gone, she backflipped off the sword and landed at Naruto's side just as he caught his blade, and she took hold of her own. The redhead droning glared at them. So, you think you're all that because you can kill some bandits? I got a news flash for you. You're not. Let's see how well you can fight against an actual shinobi. She flew through seals faster than the eye could see, lava style, melting apparition jutsu. She breathed out a large cloud of liquid magma right above them, and the two had their eyes widened before Haku grabbed onto Naruto's shoulder and disappeared in a swirl of ice, reappearing behind the Jonin. I thought I recognized her, Haku said with a growl. You're Terumi Yumi, Mei's cousin. Careful, Naruto-kun. While she only has access to the Yotun Genkai of the Turmi clan, she is a master of ninjutsu in all three of her affinities, unlike her cousin Mei, who only uses her two Genkai Naruto nodded. Let's dance, Umi-san. Naruto jumped up high and went for an axe kick to the top of her head, only for the woman to jump back. As soon as she landed, she had to jump high to avoid the senbon thrown at her by Haku, and then forced to Kawarimi with a nearby log to avoid several shuriken from Naruto. Umi performed quick hand seals while in midair, and as soon as she landed, she slammed her palm to the ground. Art-style stone spikes no jutsu. The two partial Yoko immediately jumped back and dodged the sudden spears of earth that formed just at their feet. As they landed, the two nodded to each other and they shot through their hand seals. Water style, Gunshin no Jutsu, Haku shouted. Wind style, great breakthrough, Naruto announced, and then together they yelled. Combination style, water vortex technique. The two techniques mixed together and the wind sped up the water before it became a drilling vortex comparable to Kiba's passing fang. Umi's eyes widened before she used the shunshin of lava to appear right in front of Haku, ready to kick her in the head. If not for Naruto's quick reaction, he instinctively used the Kawarimi with Haku and took the blow for her, being knocked back 20 feet and sporting a bloody nose as he recovered. Ow! The former blonde groaned as he shook his head to clear the sudden cobwebs, and blood shook with it. That hurt like a bitch. He took his sword and buried it into the ground before pulling out a scroll and opening it, pulsing chakra into it and catching two kunai with stags on the back of it. I can't believe I have to use my last two on you, he growled as he tossed them and performed hand seals in rapid succession. Shadow kunai clone jutsu. Two became 200, and as soon as Haku swung to his side, he formed the Ramsey Yokai. Although the tags sizzled and suddenly a deep blue mist came out of half as the other half erupted, electrical sparks electrifying the mist into a pseudoplasma. The two teens felt the truck disappear, and Haku poked Naruto's nose, to which he let loose a cry of pain. It's broken. She mumbled. Why'd you have to go and do that, Naruto-kun? She asked in worry as she dug into her ninja pouch to find a salve of herbs. She rubbed it between her hands and softly rubbed it into his injury as Kuruma appeared in a swirl of purple fire. Ah! She squealed at the scene before her. So cute. Haku's helping her boyfriend heal. The two blushed but stayed quiet. You do realize his nose will heal in a few seconds because of his kinkagenka, right? Haku seemed to blush harder, force of habit. She mumbled and put her hands down. Naruto also still had a blush as his nose was mended. Kurama smiled before frowning. She's still alive, she said. That woman, Yumi, just before she was hit by the mist, I saw that she dissipated into the ground with my Sharingan. She'll probably want to get back at you too for forcing her to retreat, but we'll be ready for her, Sensei Naruto pointed out. We almost had her this time, Kurama said. Naruto, you know you can't take on a Jonin alone. Your only Jonin level skills right now are control and Funjutsu, and maybe ninjutsu, but you two need to get far better. You only survived this time because she had no idea of your skills and didn't outright burn you with lava because she needed your weapons in good condition so she could sell them. Don't get cocky. The former blonde put his head down in shame. Gomenasai sensei, he sighed. What do we do then? Train? Grandma shook her head and smiled as her eyes found the two silver-haired twins. She grinned in a fox-like manner. Not quite. I have a much better idea in mind. Haku-chan, how many hundred nin uniforms do you own? The girl looked curiously. I have 7 left and could make more in 2 weeks' time. Why? Because I know how I'm going to train you to Kuruma Clan compound, council room. Bring them in. Yakumo yelled to the guards of her clan who opened the door in her council chambers, a council that had long been executed, and brought 2 individuals in. Around the chamber was 30 clan members, all strictly loyal to their young clan head, to the point if she gave the word they would commit suicide by whatever means she requested. The brunette sat up high in a throne-like chair as she was the queen of her clan, the only one who has access to her Genkai in its fullest. In the latest 7 generations, the full power of clan head without a council interference were hers. Damn it. The 2 individuals were bound by their wrists, ankles, and had their chakras sealed off so tightly only the barest amount to keep them alive was going through their Denketsu. These are the 2 Yama-sama, one of the guards spoke for them. Does this please our queen and goddess? Yamo made sure her clan was very loyal to her and even had them worship her to keep them loyal. She tapped her chin with a slightly crazed grin. Why, yes, it does, my child. That was how she referred to all of her clansmen, even though she was far younger. It made them more loyal to her, as they also thought of her as, we only wish our eternal mother to be happy. Another of the guards said with a proud smile. Then he glared at the duo of bound individuals. Welcome, most esteemed elders. The pair before her were 2 of the 3 shinobi who served as Hiruzen's elder council. The only missing one was Danso. So glad you could make it to the meeting we had planned. This is kidnapping, the female of the 2 shouted. Kidnapping would mean you came here not of your own free will and witnesses, but anyone in town would quite plainly tell you that they saw you 2 calmly walk alongside my clansmen who served as an honor guard to you. Just your damn genjutsu, the other one yelled. Yakumo's grin became predatory. Yes? Tell me, did you know the full extent of my Genki Genkai, most esteemed elder, or the extent of my spy network? She frowned. I doubt so, seeing how you 2 were going to pressure the civilian council to push for Naruto-kun's death. The Jinchuriki deserves death. He is a traitor to the village. Yakumo's eyes became ice cold, and suddenly the 2 elders fell to their knees under an invincible pressure they knew to be killer intent. I was talking worms, she calmed with a breath and then smiled sweetly. Anyways, I know of your meeting with the council. Too bad for you, how spies everywhere. You see, my Genki Genkai is most extensive than allowing my illusions to become real. I can use my genjutsu ever created, even those that require separate Genkai, and whatever emotions you feel would become genuine, you know. She grinned and looked at the other. Goto Amatsumi Kame, the 2 then stiffed and shuddered. What is it you ask of us, Giacomo-sama? They droned simultaneously. She smiled a cruel half smile that screamed of promised pain. Yes, my children, you will do as your mother says, won't you? Hi, mother. They repented in their normal voice, a childish expression in their eyes, and the new desire to only please their new mother. I have a chore for you, the newest children. You will do it, won't you? Here is what I want you to do, my little angels. My dears, you must fail me. You must not fail me. I'm counting on me. You will. With Naruto, Haku, and Kuruma, the trio stood in trees, all dressed in the hunter name uniform of Kiri's Ambu. Swirled red mask and all. Now we hunt, Kuruma announced dramatically. She had decided for a special form of training her kit and his vixen. She would allow them to go wherever in the elemental nations they wished with one singular directive. They were to hunt down missing men and bring them in for bondings. They would do the tracking, locating, fighting, capturing, or they would or killing of them. Akurama would only teach them things on the road and help if it seemed they would lose a fight. Real world experience is the only way that they would get better in a short amount of time. In a burst of speed, the three disappeared and soon were dashing through the trees at an accelerated rate, probably high tuning or low tuning speeds. Naruto had a point with Haku to his left and Kuma to his right. Haku-chan, where to? Well, Naruto-kun, she thought in response, we should get out of Hinokuni first, and the easiest way would be to go north from here. That would put us near Kirigakure no Sato and Kumagatare no Sato as far as shinobi villages are concerned, both of which have a wealth of nuken we could find. That's a solid plan. Kurigatare shinobi. You might know their abilities, but they also might know yours. Except that we're creating an entirely new style together. We train in our shared mindscape at night to come up with new techniques, and during the day we practice them, like foxfire and the water vortex we used on the bandits. It took us 6 hours to perform that in the mindscape and a whole day to have our timing right in the waking world. That is true. Our taijutsu style is dependent on one another. Our kenjutsu revolves around teamwork, and we can cast ninjutsu simultaneously with each other or separately. Then there's our funjutsu, which no one would ever expect. See, I'll know things about them, but the only thing they'll know about me is that I have access to the ice release, if they even are aware of that fact. Then to carry. They each nodded and sped up, knowing Kuruma will follow at whatever speed they set. Unknown location. Leader Sama, I have intelligence to suggest that the QB Jinchuriki is no longer in Konoha. The voice some in Tsuna would recognize as Akusano no Sori spoke from the darkness of the meeting place of 10 of the most wanted criminals of the elemental nations. So that we chase him down. You could practically hear the sharp-toothed grin of the Kirigari no Same Hoshigakari Kisame. Nadia Kisame, a cold voice spoke up, the voice of the man named the Ame no Kame, and who held the only set of Renegon eyes to be seen in the millennia. We have no idea of his power. We will await and observe. Regardless, we must go in numerous order. You know this. Samehada, the Ichibi, must be captured first before anything else. We will bide our time and perform more missions before we do anything else. Regarding the Biju, we will meet again following the tuning exams. You have your missions until then. Hi, Leader Sama. 9 voices rang as one before silence regained. Had anyone been able to hear the thoughts of a certain Uchiha just then? What are you doing, Ototo? you're going to have Konoha Danzo and now Cascade down your throat in a few months. I hope you aren't in over your head. Please be safe, Naruto, and I just hope that Kasan won't hold it against me if I am forced to hurt you a little to keep my cover. I hope you can stay strong wherever you are, Naruto.